Okay, 2013 Hyundai Elantra with a 1.8. It has the 6-speed front-wheel drive transmission called an A6GF1. Now, I don't actually have the car here, but I got it coming in tomorrow. So what happened with this was the owner of the car came in, check engine light on. We scanned the car and we found a P0711, which is transmission temperature sensor. This transmission has no bottom pan, but it has a side pan. All right, so I've done a few of these, and at one point it was an easy fix, meaning the temperature sensor would detach from the internal harness. So you just unplug it, pull the sensor out, take the bolt out, pull the sensor out, put the new one in, plug it back in, and put the cover back on. Simple. But I guess because of the ongoing problem with these transmission temperature sensors, they've updated it, and now it is incorporated into the internal harness of the transmission. Okay, so you cannot buy just the temperature sensor. This is right out of the dealer. They actually stocked these. I didn't want to open it yet. I mean, she's supposed to be in tomorrow, so I'm hoping she will be, so I did not want to open it yet. But I will give you, once I know what's going on, I'll give you a shot. But this is, if you can see this is the harness, the new updated harness. We got this out of the dealer, but my supplier TranStar, if you can see that part number, that is the part number. TranStar does sell these, my supplier does sell these. So pretty much what's going to happen, I'm hoping I can at least film the valve body on the bench. She's coming in tomorrow morning, but I told her she had to leave it overnight because I want to try to get a way to film this thing. So pretty much we got to take the side cover down. I believe this particular transmission, has a molded rubber gasket, so there's no door pre gasket or silicone, I don't believe, or anything that's going to have to be used. Because I was talking to my rep at TranStar, and according to what he's looking at, it is a molded rubber. So I'm going to get the valve body out and get it on the bench, and then kind of just show you the differences, show you the two harnesses. If I can get inside the car where the valve body lives before I put it back, I'm going to try to do this as late as possible, because I did want to film as much as I can with this, because it is an updated part, and it's a pretty common problem with this P0711. And there's a few other ones, I believe, like maybe 712, 713, also temperature sensor codes. So there also was a TSB on it. I also found a TSB on the temperature sensor codes that have to do with the 6-speed transmissions and the dual clutches for fluid, possibly using the wrong fluid or not filling them enough. So they want to make sure that the right fluid gets used, and they want to make sure these things get filled up to where they are. And I was talking to somebody on this, and I think they were talking to somebody at the dealer, and they said they see a lot of these that are not filled up all the way, so possibly could be that's another reason why these codes are showing up. But that's not a problem here. We'll take care of all that. I'm hoping I can show you the fill and everything that has pertained to this code. So this is just an intro after hours, and car's coming in tomorrow morning. We're going to hold it, so I'm going to try to coordinate this so I can shoot a quick video of the valve body on the bench to cover where it lives inside the car. I'm going to do my best to do that for you guys, okay? So we're going to pick it up hopefully tomorrow with the valve body and everything on the bench. So I will catch up with you guys then. Okay, so to keep up to date on what's going on, the car did come in, the Hyundai did come in, and we had to get the car done right away. So we, got it in the morning, and it was done by the afternoon. Really couldn't film anything because we really needed to get it done. She came in, she brought it at 8 o'clock in the morning, and said, hey, you know, I really need the car, so we had to get it done for her. So I was looking around, and I have this transmission on the shelf, which is basically the same one that was in the Elantra. This is out of a 2012 Hyundai Sonata. So the one in the Hyundai on the Elantra was the A6GF1. This is, I believe, an A6LF2. But basically, you know, transmission's all in the same family. The harness is exactly the same. I had the pan down just to kind of make sure. So what we can do is we're going to pull the cover off, pull the valve body off. I can show you the harness, the old harness. The valve body comes out fairly simple. In the Elantra, you take the plastic cover down from the bottom, and I'll tell you, it's wide open, plenty of room to work. I'm not sure how it is on other cars, but this was a pleasure to do, plenty of room. So we're going to take the cover down. We can actually take the valve body down. I have another harness that I have, and that's actually the one you saw in the first part of the video of the introduction. Was a Hyundai box, and this one I got is in a Kia box, and the part numbers are the same. And I even have Transtar's part number as well. And here is the old harness out of the Hyundai. Right, so that worked out real nice. After everything was done, we drove it around, we let it run, and the transmission temperature seemed fine. But you know, we had cleared the code for her, I think, once, and then we said when the light comes back on to bring it back. I think it took about 2 days or so for the light to come back on, but same code was there. No drivability issues, just check engine light was on. All right, so I can get a little closer here, take the cover down, the valve body. We can actually take the harness out. When you pull the valve body out, there's a couple seals behind the valve body. You want to make sure it don't come out of place. And I want to give you a shot of the top here because there's a bracket here that we're going to take off, and then we can push the harness down. So the harness is attached to the valve body, which you will see, but we got to take that off and move it out of the way to get the valve body out, and then the harness, the rest of the harness, so this part here is attached to the valve body, and this part here is attached to the case, and then you have your speed sensors that plug in here that you got to disconnect. Speed sensors can stay in the car, and you will see that as well. All right, so let me get a little closer. I want to give you a shot of this up here. Take the cover down, valve body. I'll show you the harness. I have the new one. I can't really install it because it's, I don't want to mess it up or anything, but I can show it to you. Out of the bag. And that's it. So let me get a little closer. First, I want to get a close-up shot of this so you guys can see it. So I just want to move the camera close. Get it on this one, and then back it up and focus it on here, and we'll take this down together. All right, so just give me 2 seconds, let me get set up. Okay, so I'm going to take this little 10mm bolt out. All right, and then we'll take this little bracket out here that holds the connector up. Okay, so let me just reposition, and we'll take down the pan and the valve body now. All right, so give me 1 second. Okay, let's take this side cover down. You know, we're going to lose a little fluid. What we did, of course, before we took the side cover down was we drained the trans. Okay, so this also has a molded rubber gasket here. All right, so there is the valve body. Here's your harness. Here's the temp sensor. All right, so let's take, oops, wrong size. That is a 12. Take this off. Okay. Now this is, again, this is the harness out of the car we just finished. And let's see if I can just separate this real quick. So this is the temp sensor. That's not gonna work. Okay, there we go. So there's the temp sensor, and you know, it would come like this. The old style, of course, and the new style is all one piece. All right, so this we can just plug back in. Okay, now let's get the 10 back on. So to get the valve body out, we're going to basically take the bolts out here and the bolts out here, but we've got to move this out of the way. This out of the way. So it'll look like this. And now we're going to take these bolts out and these out. And the valve body should come right out. Okay, last one. Alright, so we're going to take it out of the manual valve, gets hooked up here. Okay, so that is the valve body, pretty simple. Drops right out. Alright, now let me just switch angles so I can kind of just show you in here. I want to show you there's a couple of seals. We got to disconnect the speed sensors, and then we can go ahead and take the harness out. All right, let me try to get some light in there and get a little closer. Let me set that up. Just give me a few minutes again. Be right back. Okay, so now with the valve body off, here are your speed sensors. All right, this is your output speed sensor, this is your input speed sensor, and you have two case seals here, low reverse and underdrive. All right, so before we take the two bolts out here to take the harness out, we got to disconnect the speed sensors. So pretty much all you do with that is just push the tab in and pull it out. It comes right out, no problem. And now we're going to take the two bolts out. Okay, and then put that down, and the harness is out. All right, so again, I can't use the new one, but after we get this all back together, I'll give you a shot at a new one. So put this thing back in. We feed this up here. Okay. And it's up high enough. So we'll tighten these here. Okay. We're going to move this aside again. We're going to plug in back our speed sensors. Make sure the two seals are good. All right, speed sensors, again, we don't have to touch. And now when we put the valve body back, you got a little pin in here that you just want to make sure is still in there. Sometimes if there's silicone on here, it may come out with the pan. So let's see if I can, okay, so here. If you can see that, you want to make sure that this pin stays in place. All right, that's for your linkage. All right, and now when we hook up the manual valve, we got to hook it up to this when we put the valve body back in. Okay, so this right here, I'm going to put that in. That out of the way. And there's also dowel pins. All right, you got to get it into the manual valve here. There we go. Okay. Put a bolt in here. Get a bolt in here. All right, I'm not going to put all the valve body bolts back in, so we'll just put these on. Okay, so we put all the bolts back in. I torqued those down to probably about 100 inch-pounds. And then we're going to put this harness back in, just get it in all the solenoids. Okay, give it a push. Temp sensor in place. Okay. Tighten. Maybe do these to about 85 inch-pounds. Then you put your detent back here. There's a little dowel line-up pin there. And then when you're all done, you don't want to forget to put this bracket back on the top. All right, I know you can't see it, but just you know, slide it into the slot there, put the bolt in, and it's good to go. All right, so now let's just go over the side cover and how to fill this thing. And then I guess we can, and then I'll show you the other harness, the new harness out of the bag. And then we can close out the video. All right, so let me get set up for that. I want to get rid of this oil too over here. I will be back in a few. All right, so when everything is back together and you put the side cover on and you're going to oil it up, all right, there's going to be a vacuum line here, so you have to reconnect that with the small clamp. And the way they want you to fill this, on the top, and the check is on the bottom. A couple of times, honestly, when it was a little bit of a pain, this was very open, but on certain cars, when it was a little bit of a pain to fill it from here, I did everything through here. But this had enough room because we have a long, skinny funnel, so, you know, we take this out. Okay, and then you take this one out here because you got to do the first fill and the second fill. This will spin right out. All right, so you fill through here until it runs out, and then you can go ahead and put that on temporarily. start it up and start to fill it again. You know, you can actually take this out if you want. And then when it starts to come out pretty much in a steady stream, plug it back up. You can put this back in. And you can screw this top back on. You know, you can use your speed handle or this. And then drive it around, and when it gets hot, you may just want to pull this thing out and just double check it and make sure the fluid is, you know, coming out from here. This is the check. And you certainly don't want to make sure that it's under full. So with the car running, operating temperature, you want to have fluid coming out of there. And of course this, you know, sits up here. So again, now this has the molded rubber gasket, and I was talking to my supplier at Transtar, my rep, and I had asked him, what does this take? And he says, well, he was looking through his computer, and he says, you know, depending on which one you have, because there's the A6MF2, the A6LF2, the A6GF1, and his other ones. He says, looks like some may take silicone, some may take a molded rubber gasket, some may take a door frame gasket. So kind of see what you have. And then you can, you know, either get a new gasket here, you can use silicone, the door frame gasket, whatever the case may be, to seal the pan back up before you put it up here. And that's about it for this 2013 Hyundai Elantra with the A6GF1. We were getting a code P0711. And there's also, I think there's also the P0712, P0713, but pretty much as long as the fluid level is full, because they tell you to check that, you got to go with the new updated harness, which is in one piece, which I'm going to show you now. All right, so actually let me put this back here. I want to keep everything clean, so let me just go wash my hands, and I'll show you the box that I got the next one in to show you guys, and then we can close it out. So just give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, so here is the new harness. And here is the temp sensor that is now all in one. Okay, and I have a Hyundai box and I have a Kia box. And they both have the same part number. That's Transtar's part number. And that's it for this 13 Hyundai Elantra. Again, P0711 code. Internal harness fixed the problem. Is an updated harness. There actually is a TSB on it. If you are looking up TSBs on the P0711, you may come up with one for the harness. You also may come up with one that talks about transmission fluid. All right, and that is it. I thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next one.